Psoriasis is an inflammatory condition of the skin. It's common. It's most common in young adults and older adults, though it can even occur in children. It occurs because the rate of replication of the skin is speeded up. So in the normal situation, the skin turns over in about 21 days, and that's 7 times speeded up in psoriasis. That leads to the appearance of psoriasis, red scaly patches, with the scale constantly dropping off, which is one of the reasons people get upset by psoriasis, because the skin is scaling all the time. These red patches with scale on the surface are called plaques. Well, there are several different types of psoriasis. These different types of psoriasis will be described later in the DVD. Well, the causes of psoriasis are interesting. I think the one basic thing you can say is that genetics are very important. And in any individual who has psoriasis, there is in 1/3 of people a family history of psoriasis. Now, if one parent has psoriasis, the chances of that person's children having the same condition would be 1 in 4. If both parents have psoriasis, the chances increase to 2 out of 3 of the children. So genetics would be fairly basic. There are other factors which then can be superimposed. For example, psoriasis can be precipitated by throat infections, in particular streptococcal infection. And that can lead to a type of psoriasis, a spotty type of psoriasis, which is called guttate psoriasis, and it has a good outcome. Trauma or scratching can make psoriasis worse as well, and often leads to persistent patches of psoriasis. And then there are a number of other causes. Certain drugs can make psoriasis worse or can bring out psoriasis for the first time. Well, there's no doubt that stress is a major trigger factor for psoriasis, and some people handle stress better than others. But if you are in a stressful situation, psoriasis tends to get worse. Climate can be very important, and as you know, most people who have psoriasis find sunshine helpful, but quite a number of people, perhaps as many as 12%, can find that ultraviolet radiation makes psoriasis worse, and that seems to be more important in very fair-skinned individuals. Another major factor which is good to know about is alcohol consumption. So excessive consumption of alcohol can really make psoriasis worse, and we normally advise people to keep their consumption of alcohol very minimal. And finally, tobacco. Smoking can make certain types of psoriasis worse, particularly psoriasis on the hands and feet. Well, I think, psoriasis can be a very mild disease. And if you have minimal psoriasis in a hidden place and it doesn't itch, the impact might be almost nothing. But if you have more extensive psoriasis on visible sites, it depends on your viewpoint, but if you have psoriasis on your face or in places, for example, your hands, where you're interacting with people, it can be devastating and it can be socially paralyzing. Also, if your psoriasis is itchy, and it can be quite itchy in many people, if you can't sleep properly, and if you're constantly itching, psoriasis can make you completely miserable. You could have localized psoriasis in a visible site that was very disabling, for example, on fingers, and it might stop you doing your job. So I think you'd have to really take the personal circumstances of each person into account before making a judgment about how much that individual psoriasis will impact on their lives. I think it's important to say that psoriasis is not an infectious condition.